So Slim, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, would you do a little, just a little bureaucratic thing and tell me your name, your full name, and when you were born?
Slim chance. 7/11, 1946.
1946. Huh?
Yeah.
So inquiring minds want to know if that's your real name.
Absolutely not.
Do you want to reveal that, or just stay the Slim?
I've been Slim longer than my real name.
Okay, then fuck it.
Yeah, and my real name is hard to pronounce. I'm not entertainment oriented.
Okay.
Right.
So Slim, when did you move to Jerome?
1980,
From where?
Portland, Oregon.
And what made you come here?
Oh, I was just on my odyssey. I began my odyssey late in life, and I was going to go to Nashville and Memphis and Austin and New Orleans, where all the funky music is. And one of my first stops, was going to be Jerome anyway, because I came to visit Sally Stricker and Paula Taylor.
Oh, so you knew
They were friends of mine in Portland.
Oh, okay. Didn't know
And
that.
so I just came to drop in, and Jerome has this kind of energy where you get sucked in like the La Brea Tar Pits, and so we fell into a band instantly, and I got a job cooking, and
Where?
at the Natural Gourmet in Cottonwood, run by Fitz, one of the local boys, and so we had a band, and it was fun, and it was different, and compact environment, accelerated karma.
Who was in the band?
Oh, me, Sally Stricker, Darian Zalewski was the other guitar player, and Bobby Moraga, little sumbitch. He was the drummer, and he played upside down. His rhythms were inside out, upside down, and but you wanted him in the band because he was a blast.
And what was the name of the group?
Oh, Mona and the Edge Brothers.
Mona and the Edge Brothers.
Right.
I've never heard of this.
You haven't?
Where'd you guys play?
Spirit Room?
Yeah.
And maybe the old golf club down by the Verde River, Clarkdale Country Club.
Oh, okay.
Which was very funky. And not too many other places that I recall. Maybe a place in Prescott now and then. And there wasn't too many venues in those days.
Yeah.
But Spirit Room mostly either on the afternoon or sometimes like on Friday night.
Yeah. So this was 1980.
Yeah.
On your way to parts unknown and just got stuck.
For 26 years.
For 26 years. Well, how many people were here when you?
500. I guess that's all it can take, right?
Yeah, there were 500 in 1980.
Well, it was like a lot of old timers from back in the day.
Yeah.
And then there was the hippozoids, the hippies, the new people, and
right. How many? Yeah, because that's kind of what the.
And so the actual visual population that you interacted with was pretty small, more like a couple hundred.
Right.
And because the old people were hiding and minding their own business and all that.
Yeah. Did you have any interaction with them?
Oh yeah, all the time. Neighbors and the Peckrich family and
yeah,
all that.
Actually, I bought this house from the Peckrich.
Oh right.
Yeah.
And I lived up the street at Villa Zero.
Oh okay.
Right, with Paula and Sally and Michael Kammerer.
Yeah, I remember.
Great
Miguel.
builder. And
yeah. What's Villa Zero?
That's Jeannie Welch's house.
Oh.
And Esther named it. Esther Burton named that Villa Zero for some reason.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what it's always been.
Esther was here?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, she was someone I wish I could have interviewed.
Oh,
Yeah.
you bet. She lived in every major city in the world.
Yes, yeah. She told me stories about Africa. She was all over.
Alexandria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, she was cool. So, so you're working down in a restaurant in Cottonwood and living up here and playing music and
then
what else?
And then ended up cooking up here. I wouldn't, at the restaurant in Cottonwood, the guy's mom fired me because I wouldn't wear chef's whites and stuff. or something like that. And it was just a mom and pop restaurant. And I was back there cooking the best food they'd ever had. And I said, fine. So I went up here, and then I ran the English kitchen.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Who owned it back then?
the Conlins.
Still.
Right. And they owned it. And my suggestion was, well, you should lease it. You know, you live in Phoenix. But I worked there, and they said, well, and things were going south with the current management. So I was a professional, and I just took over and ran it like a top.
No kidding. How long did you do that?
About 6 months, and it took me about 3 months to get it where I didn't have to be there all the time. You know, got the right personnel and all this. And then they decided to lease it, like my original advice.
Yeah, yeah.
So events kind of conspire to help you move on or something, you know.
Right. Well, who else was, some of the hippies that were coming during that time, 70s, 80s, who else was here that you
John
knew at the
Ziegler
time?
showed up. And
Okay.
then that was kind of the start of Major Lingo with Sally. We were still living there when she joined that band. And then I didn't have anything real specific. I would play with various people in pickup bands, you know, and country bands, and we just play kind of willy nilly.
Yeah, what other musicians were around?
Oh, Mick King, Patrick O'Malley, and Hal O'Flaherty. The bass and guitar player was Patio. We called him Patio, and Hal was a piano player, and then Ed Dowling was here, and
Right.
he wasn't building guitars at the time.
I'm going to interview him
Oh,
next
cool!
Wednesday.
That's great. And then, so now I have to search, and I'm old, and things slip away. So I have to prowl, and so as we talk, I'm going to remember, oh, this guy and that guy, and then often people would come through, because it's such on a loop, kind of a tourist loop, and people would come through that were great musicians, you know.
Yeah.
I played at the Palace. I was the house guy for 6 years,
At the Palace.
which is the haunted hamburger.
Which is the haunted hamburger now.
Right.
Right.
In fact, at one point, I was doing vinyl siding in Prescott. I'd get dropped off at the Palace, go upstairs and cook. I was the cook, and then come downstairs and play music, and get up and do it again.
Well, how busy was it back then? We're still talking like 1982.
So yeah, in the mid '80s and stuff. Well, on the weekends it would get crowded, and then, but during the week it was pretty slow. Not like this at all, you know. And there wasn't that many. Hardly at one point there was no place to eat at night, so I opened up the deck of the English kitchen, behind the back of the owners, you know, and it was a roaring success and all this.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, what are your impressions of the place? I mean, you why do you think you stayed here instead of moving on to? Was there more than the music?
Well, sure. You get kind of locked in, and then I hooked up with Harry Stewart and started doing a lot of building. I was the town roofer for 10 years at least, and there's a lot of my roofs are still here, probably on this street.
No kidding. Did you know Eric Lorette?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I painted houses in Sedona for 15 years also with Bill McFadden.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I hooked up with Painter Mike.
So you just did whatever, mostly construction though?
Well, yeah, I
Kept
got
you
away
alive?
first I was doing restaurants, and then I got away and got into the building and kind of liked it. And all the builders here, Miguel and Harry Stewart, were all like top drawer. I got taken to school, you know.
So you hadn't done that before in Portland, huh?
No, hardly at all. A little bit of rehabbing. In fact, just before I left, as a matter of fact, I
Yeah.
started getting into it. But I was working at a restaurant when I left Portland.
Well, yeah, let's back up just a little bit. What were you doing in Portland before you came?
Oh, Not much. I was working. I worked for a bank for 7 years, processing checks at night on a graveyard shift.
Okay.
And
Is that where you were born?
no, Ellensburg, Washington, but raised in Portland, raised outside of Portland.
Okay. You went to school in
Yeah,
Portland?
yeah, Beaverton. I hate. Don't tell anybody. A real white bread suburb,
Okay.
I had to go into town to get any kind of culture or color. Or
Yeah, don't worry. This is
art.
just a documentary. No one will ever
Yeah,
see it.
right.
Yeah.
So stick to the facts, ma'am.
So didn't you tell me you were in the service?
Oh yeah, and I did a whole bunch of different things in the service.
In
I
Army,
was a company
Navy?
Army. Spent the whole time. I got drafted Vietnam War.
Okay. Did you
Spent
end
the
up
whole
going
time.
there?
No, I wanted to. I was lame and wanted to go take drugs, and I ended up spending the whole time 100 miles from home, and I was at one point I was a company clerk, and which gives you a lot of perks, and I handled schedules and took payoffs to keep people off of KP, and things like guard duty and things like that, and then also I was also a what do you call it, operations clerk, and I had an office out of which I would deal lids out of my shirt, and I had a runner. So it was exciting.
Little side business.
And then I was a swim coach. I taught scuba, taught swimming, all that. All the aquatic stuff.
Taught swimming.
Yeah.
What
I'm
was-
a top drawer swim. I can take anybody in an hour and get them swimming.
No kidding. So you did that in high school?
No. When I was in the service, I was a competitive swimmer, state champion when I was in high school.
Really?
Breaststroke.
No kidding.
Right.
I
From
had
the
no
time
clue.
I was like 12.
Well, you're tall and thin. You got the body for it.
Well, I'm built like a frog, tall, skinny, big hands, big feet.
Yeah. Now your hands probably gave you an unfair advantage.
Right. It was easy.
Let's see. Well, the famous slim thumb.
Yeah,
I mean,
bigger than the other one.
yeah. You,
And now it's gold in memory of Jerry Reed, the
All
man with the golden thumb.
the man with the golden
Right.
thumb.
So when people
Cool.
ask me, I say, I'm not gay.
I'm just
I'm just a
Jerry
Jerry
Reed.
Reed fan. Some bitch died right after I met him in Flagstaff, and he died right after I got to Nashville. I was sad and pissed because it was like I lost my best friend.
So when did you start playing guitar?
Well, ukulele, with plastic ukulele with colored strings, jingle bells in the third grade assembly in the cafeteria.
Yeah, Christmas Santa brought you that.
Yeah. Well, that was it. And then I got a wooden one. Then I got a baritone, and I put bass strings on it. Did something weird with it, and we did a skit with homemade wigs, and we answered questions about the big game with lines from Beatles songs. It was stupid and a big hit.
Those two usually go together.
And then it was beating at coffee houses and stuff like that in Portland.
So you had kind of a Tiny Tim thing going on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, almost. And then I finally got a regular guitar and started playing beating at coffee houses and stuff.
And how old were you then?
Like 18, 17, 18.
Okay. Trying to get a date.
Mm-hmm.
And what were you listening to? What attracted
at
you
that
to
time-
playing the guitar? I mean,
I'm trying to think.
was it girls?
Well,
was
I
it
liked
music? Was it the
I
blues?
liked country guitar.
Okay.
Growing up, my mom would listen to certain country stations, and I just loved that sound. That clean, clear sound.
That telly.
Well, it wasn't that so much then because I didn't know from that, but I knew I liked that country instrumentation and tone. I like that clean tone. And then I guess after I started playing music, and country music was starting to kick in late 60s, or mid 60s, and the country rock scene and all that. And then when I was in the service, I ran into other people, other musicians, and things kind of got goulashed up a little.
Yeah.
Other influences and so forth.
So did you?
And then always like Chet Atkins.
Are you self-taught or did you take lessons?
Oh, No, I tried and it didn't take.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you put yourself in the shed and learn scales and stuff, or you just
No,
how'd you
just
approach
picked
it?
and hung out with people. I do remember wood shedding, sitting in my room and playing, trying to get something else to happen, you know. But and then when I started playing with other people, it just kind of came natural, you know. But never could play with a pick.
Did
So
you
I,
learn stuff off licks off records and things?
yeah, sometimes. And then I liked the Beatles. They were a real stripped down, clear sound, you know. And I didn't know from other kinds of music, a lot of folk music influence at that time, and then the rock and roll thing was really starting to happen too, and Elvis and all that jazz. I didn't even get into Elvis till about a year before he died, and I finally got it, you know.
Right, right. Well, you're kind of bluesy, swampy these days. Where did that come from?
Well, that come from probably Elvis and anything down south. J.J. Cale, I found out about him. I didn't even know about him till I came here, and
Really?
somebody turned me on to him, and that's like be all end all. Eric Clapton said he stole everything he could from him. So did Mark Knopfler, and I didn't know that at the time. I just thought it was great, funky, grinding, swampy stuff. And his approach was he'd record something on the back porch, just tapping his foot. Then he'd take it into the studio, and use all the technology available at the time to make it sound funky as possible. And he'd add horns and stuff, and it's just a great thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's kind of a cult, a cult musician, and he's a great guitar player, for one that people don't realize.
Yeah.
And he wrote songs that were real simple, just as a vehicle for the groove.
Yeah, he's got a great groove. Lenny is really into him. We played a bunch of J.J. Cale stuff.
And he buries his vocals in the mix, so you got to lean in to dig it. That's on purpose.
He did this one record based on the Latin culture in Los Angeles. What's it called? Darn it.
Is it Grasshopper?
No, it starts with an M. It was about a certain district in L.A., and he did a bunch of remakes of these old Latin songs, Mexican songs.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, it's good. I played a couple of tunes on the radio about that. But Lenny would do Down the River, or what is it? Oh, Down the River. Bunch of stuff.
Down by the riverboat.
Yeah, and he's got a great tune with Eric Clapton, and he do one together.
Oh, that whole album.
Yeah, yeah.
Road to Escondido.
Right.
That is just magic.
Yeah.
Although, to me...
That's the groove. When you say
Right.
groove, that's what it made me
Right.
think of.
But to me, it's like Clapton doesn't have quite the right tone all through that album. It's a little too fuzzy to this, a little too that. And Cale always has the dynamite. And I can't say enough. And I saw him live a couple times, and he's so just laid back, in the groove,
Oh yeah. So what guitar? And you came here with an electric and an amp and a.
Boy, I can't remember exactly what I had at that time. I think it was a red Telecaster, and that's mostly what I was known to play. And then later on, not too long before I left, Ed Dowling got me a 335 Gibson style guitar, really beautiful, wine red, gold hardware. Still have it. It needs some work, but man, just plays and sounds great.
Oh, nice.
And then I finally ended up with, after going through guitars, with this one that's all jeweled up, and it's just magic. And it weighs about 10 pounds, and that doesn't count the jewels; they weigh nothing. And people pick it up and say, "You stand up and play this," and then this guy was trying it out. I says, "Here, play it." And I had just gotten it set up at a gig, so I went out front, and it just sounds great. And it's actually from the red guitar I played last Sunday.
Yeah.
That's Steve Botterwig's, and it's literally from the same batch. His is heavy too, and he put graphite saddles on it, and I put graphite saddles on mine. I haven't broken a string since 1999.
Cool. Well, let's get back to
Yeah.
Jerome and what was going on. What other bands were playing around at the time?
Boy, I can't remember. The Something Rangers, Andy Pendley.
I've heard of them.
They're a big land family over in Prescott. The Something Rangers, I can't remember. That was a band that played around. Danny Rhodes, who was a local, and he went to Nashville, and he came and played occasionally. And he was quite an influence because he was so good. And he played with Brenda Lee and Charlie Rich and was a Nashville staple and had a hip, cool band called The Nerve in Nashville. And there's another little story there, but we'll get to it. Anyway, so I can't remember all the other bands. There wasn't too much in the time because it was rural, stone cold rural. And maybe a lot more over in Prescott, and a few maybe at the Chaparral, and there was BB's Billiards down in Cottonwood, Bruce Brimhall's, which is right where Mingus and Maine come together. And there's a club there now, but that was one place where they played. Oh,
Well, who were you? What was your social life like?
Oh,
when you,
just
when
go
you
up-
first came. Who'd you fall in love with first?
oh yeah, every woman that showed up. Because every woman that showed up here was leaping out of whatever closet they were strapped into for the last 10, 20 years and just blossoming, you know? And so it was like, geez. and I tell you, you know, cool people come and go through this town, but especially, and I don't mean to be sexist or anything, just the women that have come and gone through this town are so, they've been, you know, for the most part, they've just been so great or unique, or they have some kind of uniquity about them. And Jerome has that kind of magnetism where people hear about it or they show up here. And it's a unique place because of the geography, and it's a compressed environment, so there's accelerated karma,
Yeah,
and,
yes, yeah.
which can be good and bad.
And so, like a lot of people come. I always say people are washed up on the shores of Jerome, and a lot of them seem to, you know, something traumatic or big happened in their life, and they're kind of.
And this is like a sanctuary.
Yes, yeah.
In a way,
And they kind of remake themselves.
There is a bit of that, you know, and then other people land here and they interact with. Everybody's from somewhere else. It's like living in a port city or something, you know, because everybody's from somewhere else. So you pick up knowledge and artistic knowledge and musical knowledge from all these artists and musicians that hang here.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not like you can just go away unless, you know, I mean, the only way you can get away is drive off somewhere to go down the valley.
Right.
Otherwise, you're in here in this cubicle or
fishbowl.
globe, fishbowl, yeah.
Yeah. So who were you hanging? Who were your men friends around here? Who were
Man,
your
I
buddies?
can't. God, I'd have to draw a blank. Almost draw a blank. Well, the guys I worked with, you know, Harry Stewart and Miguel Camrar, who lives up in Oregon now in Sisters, up in Central Oregon mountains, and I'm trying to think who else. Well, just whoever's at the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Did you hang at the Spirit Room or Paul and Jerry's or?
well, at the time, the Spirit Room was kind of the place, and Paul and Jerry's was a little different crowd, and now it's all kind of homogenized, you know, and
Right. Were those
seems like the locals mostly drink at Paul and Jerry's now,
now?
and then they don't go over there unless there's music,
Yes,
something like that.
it's true.
And the tourists go to the Spirit Room.
Right.
Maybe. That's just the hit I get.
No, that's
the way it was kind of when I left.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's been that way for a while. I kind of started in the Spirit Room when I first moved here, and now my hair's white. And now I'm over.
Right,
at Paul
yeah,
and
right,
Jerry's.
exactly. I think that's the thing.
Well, there's the crickets.
Okay,
So
that's
we're gonna pause
break.
for a second.
a little breaker.
Yeah, camera's gotta rest. Okay. Well, where were we? Hey, I want to ask you about hanging out in Jerome. What did you guys do?
Oh, Well, in a small town, often the bar is a social center, and so that's what went on a lot. And
As much drinking as there is today?
easily. And when I got here, everybody had Jägermeister in their freezers, and it wasn't trendy. Nobody even knew who it was outside of Jerome and Clarkdale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to get into a little touchy area, and no names, please, but was there a drug scene?
Oh, always, yeah. And everybody was young and wild and fancy free, and it wasn't a drug scene so much. It's just, everybody, people in Jerome got high and la la la.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how old were you then?
Oh, I was 34 when I left town. I was thinking, when I left Portland, I said, got to get out of here, do my odyssey, And then I came here and got hung up for 26 years. So it took me another, probably another 7 years to get where I was going, and then come back and hang in Portland for another 5 years. And
Oh, you went back to Portland for a while?
for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Last 5 years.
Oh, just recently.
Yeah.
Okay, but you were
Kind of got spit out of my hometown so I could come here and find love
yeah, well,
once again and finally. I mean, it's strange the way it works. I had no intention of coming back here. It was a fluke thing,
Yeah, you didn't miss it?
Oh, in a way, I miss the desert, but I'm one of those guys, I don't know what it is. I can be happy anywhere. I was happy in post-Katrina New Orleans, which was the shits. Which wasn't that groovy, but it was great.
Yeah.
It was the big difficult, not the big easy.
Well, yeah, tell me about some stories. You got any crazy things that went on? Something that sticks in your memory about people? What some people did?
There was always shenanigans and after hours at somebody's place. And one time when I lived at 4th and Verde downstairs, and various people live upstairs, we would have after hours, and much to the neighbors' dismay.
4th and Verde, is that Nancy Stewart's house?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And
was Nancy here then?
Oh yeah, but she didn't live. She moved away from that house, and then Sally lived there, and then Dolores.
Yeah.
And she's another Portland. There was quite a Portland faction when I came here.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so that might have been part of it too, and boy, I can't remember all the stories. They kind of blur, and in retrospect, sometimes it's better if you forget them. And
well, what was the town like? Did it have a functioning government at that time?
Yeah, but it was pretty. It was really small town. It was really compacted and condensed, and not kind of mainstream like it is today. And I don't remember much about it. Although at one time people were asking me to run for mayor. I don't know why.
Did you ever
go
no. on council or design review or anything?
No, I can't yell that loud. That's who wins, whoever yells the loudest.
Right.
And but it was basically sleepy, and the shops and so forth were kind of willy-nilly hither and yon, and I don't see how they did it back then, but it was a tourist attraction still, but it wasn't trendy like it is now.
Right. Well, it's crazy these days.
It's kind of upscale.
Almost 2 million people a year through here now. But
right.
At that time, what stores were open? What kind of?
Boy, I don't remember. There was, the English kitchen at one point, and then the candy kitchen where I cooked, and then there wasn't much at night, and then bit by bit other things happened. The palace happened, and can't remember. Oh, the Flatiron Cafe, and which was my future ex-wife ran that, and I can't. The time frame and the time flow kind of jumbles up.
Yeah, but now every storefront is filled.
Oh yeah.
But I imagine back then that wasn't.
No, a lot
the
of
case.
empty, and a lot of them were. There was nothing happening at all, and I don't know. It seemed to me, business-wise, it was quite a step to try to do it here at that time back then. But now it's like there's so much traffic that if you can't make a go of a business here, you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah. So
So
then,
I was cooking, and then I got into construction, and eventually got married.
yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
And who
So
is-
Cindy Macy, who ran the Macy's Coffee House, and she had a dress shop also, and we just kind of hit it off. But like most of the things in my life, they shouldn't have been as permanent. I mean, I waited till I was 45 to get married, and we love each other more now than when we were married. You know, we were kind of fire and ice, and oil and water, oil and fire and gas, and anyway, and she's a sweet, wonderful gal, and she lives in Mexico now, and it was a good thing that we got divorced. I mean, we shouldn't have got married, and but that's fine because she kind of saved me from myself a little bit. And,
you mind talking about that? What do you mean?
well, I was living pretty wild at the time and all that, but then we both wanted different things. I wanted to continue my odyssey, and she wanted to be where the beach was, and we kind of understood that.
Right.
And,
No, you bought a house.
well, she had this house up on Company Hill,
Okay.
and
On the
it was
boardwalk.
bought collectively with a bunch of other people. They formed a corporation, and they were all falling down. And so they got into them for a song, and it was kind of a horror doing the corporation with a bunch of eccentrics, who were not versed in anything like that.
The land was owned collectively and the houses individually? Or?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, but I ended up doing a whole lot of work on it, and it's still there. It's like I walked into a time warp when I came back, 12 years later, and so now she lives in Mexico on the beach, and I've done my odyssey, and now I'm kind of at the top of my musical game, and I don't know what's going to go on because I ended up coming back here to help her with the sale of the house, and love blossomed one more time that I didn't think I was going to
Yes,
have.
I noticed that.
And I didn't think it was going to happen, or I hadn't planned on it. I says, well, I've had my fill and my share, not my fill maybe, but I've had my share, and I've been cavalier and loved and lost more than I should have, but now this last chance falls into place just perfectly, and
That's wonderful.
for both of us,
Yeah.
So that's great.
So well, not to
pry,
not to throw water on the
Right.
on this on the current
right. So let's go back.
euphoria.
Right.
But when did you marry Cindy?
Oh, that was 92. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
And
And so you moved in together up.
we were in the
boardwalk?
shack.
Oh, okay.
She had the house, rented it out, and it wasn't in great shape. It needed work, and then so we lived in the shack, made it into 2 rooms, put a shower on the porch, and we lived there for 7 years, I think.
Kidding.
Two people.
She was okay with it.
Yeah, and then we moved up there, and then the work started in earnest on the house. And then after we divorced, and this is a great little tale, the day we signed the papers at the county courthouse, we went to the wild animal park next door and had a great time, So that's kind of how it is, and we get along great now,
Yeah, yeah.
And so we lived in the shack, and then moved up there, and then I was also doing construction and helped. For a whole year, I worked on the Connor Hotel while we were living at the shack. Just walk across the street and go to work.
When the Conlins refurbished it?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that was probably early 90s. Huh?
Right, yeah, mid-90s.
Yeah.
And then I was also painting. Also during that time, I was painting a lot in Sedona, and I painted a lot interior repaints here. And you worked on one with me.
Yes, we did.
The Peckridge's at the end of the road.
That's right.
Great place.
Yeah. So then you remember Paul and Mare got the liquor license at the Spirit Room.
They got Spirit Room.
And next thing you know, a certain female guitar player comes to town.
She just showed up and sat in, and that was that.
And Lori.
Yeah.
My sister.
Yeah.
Lori McDonald. And so you guys it was you just playing and she?
Well, I was playing with a couple other guys, Teddy Rocha and Dave Rentz, and Terry Furlong, who was in the Grassroots band.
Right.
And a great guitar player. So we had a 3 Telecaster band. And then it faded. He left because he had some issues. And then Lori and I just made each other better. It was a great thing, and so now the band's still happening.
I know. Well, you named it.
Yeah.
Combo Deluxe. Yeah, well, those were great days.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I think that was, Lori and I moved up here to take care of Mom, and she passed away in 94.
Right.
So that was the year, 93 or 94, when you guys started
playing.
Right,
exactly.
And that was the same time that Paul and Mare started marketing themselves, I guess, to the biker thing.
And that kind of put a different twist on Jerome as a biker destination, and the shop owners hated it, including my wife.
Right.
And I can't really blame them, because they would idle in front with their ass end into the store,
right,
idling,
blow all the exhaust through the front
exhaust
door.
And noise, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys took off. I mean, you became the most popular band at that bar.
We were basically the Beatles of Central Arizona, which ain't saying that much, but we were, people just followed us everywhere, and they still do. They follow them all over.
Yeah. Well, the band's. Well, how long did you guys do that? It was
5 years.
Yeah, it was 5 years.
About 5 years.
And that was you, Teddy Rocha,
and
Dave Rentz was the first drummer, but
then Charlie Mossman.
And Charlie Mossman.
And when we had Charlie, that there was a certain point where that was the optimum combo, where it was, kind of just right, and it was a pretty balanced, because everybody sang.
And everyone had a different vocal style, but a great interesting.
Right, and a different take, and brought something else to the table.
Yeah.
Right. And funny thing, the current bass player and drummer came up and sat in with me at my gig in Portland.
Oh, no kidding.
Daryl
and Steve?
Recently, yeah.
No kidding.
One time when Sally and Steve came up, and he was up too, visiting somebody in the area. And so they all showed up at my gig, and it was great.
Very cool. So,
and then when Lori and I play together, like the other day, it's like magic. And then with a great rhythm section, it's just instant magic, because she's got a good band now.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
I mean, for a trio, that's some great sound.
Yeah, no kidding.
And some great singing and great talent.
Yep. It's been through many changes through the years. This is, like you say, I'm amazed what they get out of 3 pieces, because they're all so good. And
it's greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Zydeco band. And if you've ever heard a good Zydeco band, and you focus on each individual, they're all playing the simplest, absolutely 1-2, 1-2 thing. And then when it's all put together, it has this tension to it
Yeah.
that they bounce off of.
Yeah.
And that's a whole New Orleans thing.
And this version is probably the calmest.
Yeah,
The most
least dramatic.
The least drama.
Yeah.
Because as you know, well, hell, how many? I mean, a macabre story. I mean,
Yeah, right.
How many Combo Deluxe members
Right.
have committed suicide? Two or three? It's Charlie,
Yeah.
one drummer, Michael, the other drummer, Michael, remember blonde-haired guy?
Charlie.
Well, Charlie first.
Yeah. I didn't know about another one.
Michael, he had
Oh,
blonde,
there was the piano player.
and then Bill, the piano
piano
player,
player, right.
and then there was another drummer. Michael, God, what's his name? He used to date
Mike Bannister.
Mike Bannister.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that, and I thought, God, he's the last guy I would have thought, and I don't know if he got worn down by the wrong woman or what.
I think I would agree with that story.
Right.
Yeah.
But and he was my good buddy, and I thought when he was going through all that, I said, I thought you were a tough guy,
Yeah, I remember
emotionally.
that time. He was.
And he wasn't a tough guy; he was a human,
He was hangdogging it pretty
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, but I never expected that to happen either.
And what a drag, because he was a great drummer.
Yeah.
Boy, just smacked the one. He smacked
Yeah.
that snare, and he was on that one.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
played really simple and all that. And he played with Lucinda Williams.
Yeah. He was good straight ahead, simple kit.
Right.
And just
And he could
just a good pop approach. Just
right, and he could make that simple thing kick ass just because he smacked it so good.
groove it. Yeah.
The groove is paramount.
Absolutely. So, well, I was thinking, I'd like you to play a tune.
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, if we do are we going to do subsequent, or is this it?
No, I don't know. I just
thought
you want to do that later?
no, that's fine. But what I'm thinking, I mean, I know we're on.
Yeah, it's okay.
But some of those questions about funny events or something.
Yeah.
Here's
let's
one.
go there.
Just for one that I can remember, at the Fourth and Verde house, there's quite a few after hours, and much to the dismay of Dora Worley across the street, and a little old lady who's been here forever and
Yes.
all that, and nosy, but. So it's after hours. It's really cooking. The place is full. People outside, music playing inside, and somehow I put on the gorilla mask and gloves, and I had a little wood stove in the basement, and with a tall stack, and then it went for a long ways across the room and then up the chimney. So it warmed the place up really good because of the long horizontal run, and. So I've got the gorilla mask on, and I'm wallowing around the party, and I grabbed the upright stack. It was dampened down, and grabbed the upright stack as if to embrace it, just for fun and for drill, and it came apart, and the sparks and smoke and all this stuff, and I'm waving around with the gorilla mask, and I finally, with the gloves on, put it back together. I mean, that's just one little instance. And then it was pretty wild in those days, and when I had the shack, there'd be a woman in my bedroom, unbeknownst to me, and then another one begging me to let her stay. I mean, stuff like that would go on.
And on.
Yeah.
And on. Well,
Or I'd be at the bar, and all of a sudden a warm form would appear right next to me and say, "Let's get out of here." And those were the days.
so Did you know Guy Henley and
Oh, sure, yeah.
George?
After hours, a lot of after hours. Henley, one of the most brilliant drunks ever. Just absolutely brilliant, and just a kick in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it when he'd saunter.
Oh, he sauntered, and he had the matching kerchief and
Yeah,
t-shirts.
his ascot
Right.
and a hat, and
Right.
he'd come into Paul and Jerry's and say, "I'm General No Regard."
Yeah, right.
And did you know George Glassman?
Sure, yeah. Still see him,
Yeah,
Him and Greer.
Well, he was back in
Shift
that
change
time.
and generation change at the same time.
Yes. Well,
He's still finishing everybody's sentences.
well, he's got the vocabulary
Right. Yeah,
and the dictionary.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to play a song? What, instrumental? Just
Yeah,
a
what the
thing?
hell? I don't
Any
know.
old- Any old thing?
Whatever you think.
Okay.
I'm going to take my headphones off and adjust the camera
Oh, okay.
so we can fit in the
Right.
guitar.
Oh, my foot went to sleep again, but that isn't. I like that feeling in a way. I think I remember one time when I was a kid, I would do something to make something fall asleep. God, it's great tone. And it looks good. It's beautiful. And you basically got it new. I mean, this
Yeah.
gal didn't really do anything with
I
it.
got a
not
little
long.
crack on it. I dropped it, of course.
And the great binding, really hip, cool binding.
What's your favorite new tune?
New tune? Oh, If I Find Jesus, I'm going to kick his ass. That's a country hit. And it is the perfect country song. Every line is just right on the money. It's like art and craft rolled into one.
That's what's great about country music.
Well, where it's commercial, and it's probably an anthem by now. I hate anthems. But it's probably an anthem by now. And his wife gets born again and all this. And so there's all this stuff going on.
Well, let's hear it, man.
Well, no, I don't know the song.
you
I'm
don't?
just telling you my favorite new song. And that's the one. Let's see here. Well, here's a little instrumental. This is just something I should make a song out of it, but
Well, you're a
it's just something to
songwriter
play.
too, aren't you? You
Not
used to play
really.
originals and compo.
I play originals. Writing is kind of torturous for me, although I'm inspired and I brought my writing books with me.
Yeah.
But I've been too busy and love came and all this stuff, and so everything's convoluted until I get back here, Okay, so
I should get my bass out. Yeah. Nice.
now I can use the back of my fingers too.
Well, why do you say you're at the top of your form? Just
Because I've had these plastic nails for 5 years, and I've had this same gig every Thursday, sometimes Friday at this little bistro. Sometimes there's nobody, sometimes there's a crowd. And it's like having your own private studio. And just by virtue of grinding through that, even when there's nobody there, something happens. And then when I got these, I was like a dog off a leash, just, and then and then I learned to sing about a year ago, and
What, you've been singing for years?
I know, but I'm not a singer's singer, you know, like I'm not like a guitar player's player, you know.
Yeah.
but-
So you found your voice? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I hate to put it in such grandiose terms, but it just kind of Rolodexed into place, and it just feels right, and I can stretch or condense a phrase or a line, and I know just the right thing to do with my voice at any given note, whether to growl or croon, you know, and little things just kind of clipped in, and so now I have confidence, and that's what it's all about.
Wow.
And there's another story.
It just happened, huh?
Right. And a kind of mini epiphany, and all of a sudden it felt really comfy to sing, and I could lean on it a little, you know.
Yeah.
And,
It's kind of thing you probably don't want to think about too
well,
much.
you don't overthink it, just do it.
Yeah.
And but the more I do it, and it's like so much fun to sing now, you know. And then there's another thing that happened when I was playing with Combo. I play professional pool too, you know, and so
Yes, I do.
we were playing in Phoenix, and I was going to a lot of tournaments and playing a lot, and I was reading books, and I played with a lot of great players, and it all Rolodexed into place, and I made a leap in the rating from 7 to 8, which is a huge leap. The best are 12s on a scale of 10. They don't miss. Anyway, so that was a big thing, and I had confidence, feared no shot, and it just kind of, everything just fell into place, and the confidence thing, and so I didn't fear any shot, you know, step up, know what to do, all this, and it translated to the music, because at one point the band, we just played a set or something, and they're going, "What's going on, Slim? You've been woodshedding?" And it wasn't that. I was just playing, stepping up, you know, and not holding back, because I had the confidence from the pool. So it's one form of art affecting another form of art.
Yeah.
Isn't that a far out thing?
I have a similar experience with music and painting.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'm a horrible pool player.
Well, but does the music make, when the music is right or something, does it influence your painting?
Yeah, back and forth, but I think it's more a confidence thing.
Right,
I don't
right.
know. They kind of.
I'm telling you,
they
that's
kind
it.
of back each other up. As
It
you
does.
get a little better at one, you get a little, you know.
And it doesn't, and the actual skill level or whatever doesn't even enter into it. That confidence thing just makes it, and that might be why the singing finally kicked in, because I had the confidence from doing this.
Yeah.
And
Well, was I going to ask you? Who were your favorite people to play with back? in the day?
here.
Yeah.
Here. Well, I love playing with Dave Rentz. He was right, and he probably still is. We both got to create the trance groove kind of thing.
Right.
You know, he's into that, and we have real anticipation with each other, and he can punctuate it differently, same song in a different situation, a different day, and punctuate it differently and make it a little different, and things like that. And then I'm trying to think who else. Well, I like playing with Sally, you know, and she's a great bass player, and I can't remember all of the. I like playing with Mike Bannister. Didn't play enough with him, you know.
Yeah.
And
Did you have much to do with Mick King and Dowling and those guys?
yeah,
The
well, I
banjo
played
thing?
with Patio, and occasionally I would fill in with Mick. They were more bluegrass oriented, you know, and I wasn't that oriented to it. I had a hard time playing bluegrass because, one, you got to play fast, but it's also about how relaxed you are. And,
Yeah, you can't play fast unless you're relaxed.
right, and
Counterintuitive.
bluegrass and punk have this mutual thing, and I know punk drummers who play with bluegrass bands.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and that's another thing where if you play punk music, you got to be relaxed to play that jaggedy stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be really relaxed.
They're those 16th notes at
And all those
120
guys are
beats
like
per minute.
guys that are our age, and they play punk music in L.A. You know.
Right. So did it feel like Jerome had a really happening music scene, or was it
Well,
kinda underground?
it was unique in that people kept showing up. New people would show up and add to the mix, and even if they didn't stay long, or they would stay for a year to 5 years, who knows, and then drift away, and so there was a constant flux and a constant influx of musical. Not necessarily talent, but I'm trying to think of the right word. Musical, more musical color from playing with different
Variety.
people. Like people would drive by when I was playing at the Palace, and say, "Oh wow," and pull up and sit in with me. And it turned out, like one time, it was the guy who played in Frank Zappa's band. And he had a couple little padded custom speakers about this big and played lap steel, real deco looking lap steel, and just was wonderful all night long. And then another guy was on a river raft trip, and I was playing at what's the one on Main Street, the main restaurant?
Here in town?
Mile High.
Mile High, yeah.
Yeah. And I was playing there one time, and this gal, she had a soprano sax with her, because she was a clarinet player, and she happened to have her soprano sax. And she knew every old swing tune I knew and all this. And so things like that would happen all the time. And they still happen to me. The people that came to my gig in Portland, if I leave the house, I don't know, it's something about me. And I don't mean to hype myself, but
We all recognize it.
but no, if I leave the house, something dynamic happens to me all the time. And so I would have great people sitting in, virtuosos and all this, and when I was up in Portland, and so I constantly have art experiences, especially in New Orleans. You leave the house, it's an art experience.
Oh yeah. So how many musicians you figure were in Jerome during the 80s?
Say in that time there could be any given time there could have been, I don't know, 20, 30 musicians.
Really?
But some not practicing, some working and not playing much, and this and that.
Right.
And there was what is it, the one with Noel and Greg Richardson, the
Noel Frey?
yeah, is it Spam Tones?
That sounds familiar.
Not Spam, Clam Tones?
I don't know.
There was a something tone. Spam Tones, that was it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Greg Richardson and I think maybe Mod Bob.
Yeah, Mod Bob.
And
He was the lead singer.
and Aaron, the killer sax player, blonde-haired kid.
I don't know.
They all went to Puerto Rico, all those folks, the Spam Tone folks.
Oh, no kidding.
Aaron,
Except for Bob, he's still here.
Yeah, but Aaron and Greg Richardson and his girlfriend, they all went to Costa Rica.
Wow.
But there was different bands would come to the Spirit Room, reggae bands and blues bands up from Phoenix. So the Spirit Room was a constant venue. Most everybody who ran it, there was always live music. And the Conlons liked it. They liked the idea of the live music. Maybe because they were Irish, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have the stage back in
Well,
the day, right? You guys.
Yeah, it was there, but there wasn't much of one. And then they built one.
Right, because you guys combo used to play over in front of the front.
But that was just for immediacy, because it was like an immediate
It's like
hit.
a doggy in the window.
Well, not that so much. It's like immediate with the audience, and the tone was better.
Oh, okay.
And I'll never forget the night that we played on the stage one evening at nighttime and beat the tone hex.
Yeah.
Because the Spirit Room stage tone has been notorious. All the
Yeah.
bottom
It's
goes
booming.
straight up.
Yep.
All the bottom goes
Yeah.
straight up. All that, and we beat it somehow. And that's another thing with that band now, because Steve is like studio oriented, and he's real good on the vocal mixes. Lori's good on the out front and the monitor mixing, and then Daryl's like the tech of everything.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody should be issued a Daryl at birth. Really? he was a tech for the Gin Blossoms for
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Anyway,
Well, he lives across the street from me
Right,
now, so I
right.
got my own bass tech right across the street.
Yeah, cool. And so he went home on break and says, "You need any pedals?" You know, and so he comes back with a whole bag full and 3 blue compressors. I said, "Yeah, I'll take all 3."
I'll take all 3.
And then he set the pedals up perfectly with matching chords and blah, 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 and then dialed them in almost perfect before I even turned up. You know, I mean, talk about Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and Lori helped with Frizzy and Edgy also to get their out front mix better. And man, do they sound great now.
Yeah.
They sound really good.
Yep.
And it's the first time I've heard Sally be able to sing and compress and really hear it, and she's relaxed doing it, you know, so she sings right on the money and all that. And then Steve hadn't played guitar before, so they were kind of scared shitless at first.
He does really well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, back in the day, did you feel like there was some special music thing about Jerome?
Well, it was artistic in general.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who came was for art, and there was galleries and blah, 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 but not much back in the day. And it started happening a little more bit by bit. And but what I was going to say is we might do this another time as I maybe think about specific little cool vignettes and events and crazy things that went on. And,
well, we could do that.
yeah.
Do you want to?
We can schedule it another time.
Well, let's do that. If you get a group of stories and stuff that you know, it's like I wish I'd brought that up and that
within the next month, within the next few weeks, I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to stay around and help the new gal with the house. I might do that,
right.
or else I might.
It can be a couple months or 6 months from now.
Right, but
I'm going to be doing this for a while.
My logistics are I might stay up there, but now because of Kathleen, we want to go to Portland and get my shit and get back. You know,
right.
I have everything in storage and ship my van.
No rush on this. No rush.
Good.
What do you want to?
So my plate got real full all of a sudden.
Good.
Most of my stuff is done up at the house for right now. I got about a day's grace, and then because we've been waiting for the other gal to pick out the furniture so we can figure out the storage and a rental truck. It's like you don't want to do any of that until the day you want it because it's availability is everything.
Yeah.
You know, you might as well not even reserve. I mean, don't bother.
Well, take us out with a quick tune, and we'll stop for
One
today.
that I sing, or what?
Yeah, we need to hear your voice.
Okay, so let me see. Let's see. Okay, how about a J.J. Cale tune, since that's what we're talking about? Oh, yeah. Cajun Moon. A lot of people have done the song. Now, another thing about the singing is I switch keys, like almost to a fifth. Like what I used to play in A minor, I'll play, because my voice is different since I gotten older. I can sing higher. It's more gruff and gritty, but I can also sing higher and sing falsetto, and all this shit happened. You know? See. Cajun moon, where does your power lie as you move beneath the southern sky? You took my baby way too soon. What have you done, Cajun moon? Someday, baby, when you want your man and he is gone, just like the wind, don't trouble your mind whatever you do. Cajun moon, he got you. The sun goes down and the day is gone. You can hear the silence in this song. Don't trouble your mind, whatever you do. He got me like he got you. So Cajun moon, where does your power lie as you move beneath the southern sky? You took my baby way too soon. What have you done, Cajun moon? You took my baby way too soon. What have you done, Cajun moon? You took my baby way too soon. What have you done, Cajun moon?